everything that you've ever done leads to what you're gonna create, and so you're exactly where you need to be. Just live your life,
I like
document
that.
your story, and document your journey and tell your story, and you are the content. You know what I mean? You are the content. You're living the content right now, and like even for me in my life, like I started my first fashion brand in the DMV when I was 16 as I was playing basketball. And I never knew I would continue to do that, but once I was in NYU, I ran a fashion marketplace showing a bunch of designers in the city, and next thing I know, I was manufacturing clothes for other designers. I was trying to, build brands in the background. And so like by the time it came to me going to Vegas for my 21st birthday and having a idea in the club, like I need a versatile dress shirt. Like I need something I can wear in here in the club or out at work as well. Like what can I do with that? And I was like, man, I have been working in fashion for the last 7 years. Like I could just create this myself. And so it's like every single thing you've ever done, no matter if you're on a business school path or if you're in Vegas or if you're playing basketball back at home, like everything kind of connects, all of the dots connect. So it's very interesting hearing your story because it seems like of course it would make sense. You're working on world's dumbest in the TV industry, and this is what you're, so it's like it's cool how everything goes. And like that's really what entrepreneurship is. It's not always about, figuring out having this grand vision for how you're going to get there. It's more so just like attacking what's in front of you right now, and next thing you know you stumble forward into multiple different avenues.
Absolutely. And I mean, even more power to you because, you're in a very competitive space. And and not only that, you're in that space being in New York City is, some call it the fashion capital of the world, but it's just, that's eh, more power to. Was that your aha moment, the Vegas for the shirts?
For the shirts, yeah, that's when I got the idea for sure. Like I was in Vegas, I you have to kind of dress up to get into the clubs there. So I was like putting on my dress shirts, and I'm sitting here like these just aren't like club. Like they're too formal. They're not comfortable. Like you can't really move in them. So I like was like, all right, I'm gonna create like a comfortable, like kind of oversized, like casual dress shirt you could wear to work on a sales call or to the game, to the date, to the event. So yeah, that was exactly like what I stumbled into, and I never thought I would end up pursuing that idea. But like one night in a Pakistan in the MGM, that's where my life changed, I guess.
Yeah, and not to sound cliche or like one of these like motivational YouTube channels, but what does make a difference is, the motivation behind people. Anyone can have their aha moment. It's also about, execution and, sticking with it, consistency. So many people I've seen, especially nowadays, get discouraged so fast. There's been people I've even worked with who, they want to be influencers. They want to be in front of the camera. And the second they post a video, they think it's going to get 1,000 views, and that may not be the case. It may take a full year of consistent videos before you finally get to a place where it's taking off or that it's actually getting attention. But you don't even know what it may be. Sometimes I was talking to someone last night, and they were talking about how they've had videos that get certain engagement here and there, but then all of a sudden they realize like overnight the following just skyrocketed, and then they looked back and it was a video that they had 4 years prior that just had a few thousand views on it. um, I don't know if someone picked it up or if it wound up on Reddit or it wound up taking off, and this person blew up overnight from a video that happened 4 years ago.
It's
And it's the consistency, they didn't quit back 4 years ago when they were just getting a couple views. So I've worked with a lot of people who have quit, after, a month or two, they're like, I'm putting so much effort and so much work into this and I'm not getting anything back in return. And the first thing I always say to them is like, you got to stick with it. Like it's not, Rome was not built overnight, and it's like, you have to stick with it, and you just don't know when that next break's gonna come, or when that video is gonna blow up for my industry. So it's different for everyone, but you have to be a special kind of person to execute and actually follow it through and stick with it and be consistent with it. Um, anyone can have that aha moment, but it seems like, that's again one of the things. I don't say yes to everyone when it comes to podcasts. Not that I'm getting asked on a daily basis, but I do. I do get asked a lot, and um, the one thing that I remember when I checked out about you is that you do have that consistency, and there was a lot of myself that I saw in what you were doing, and I'm like, the fact that this dude is like, even he's just going out and doing it, and that alone takes guts and takes balls to do, and some people don't even want to do that. So, I hope you stick with it as
I
well.
appreciate
And
that.
yeah, and it's like there's definitely a drive that has to be within that person. Or else, I'm not going to say you're not going to succeed, but you're going to have a harder time doing so.
Thank you, man. And yeah, I call this the practice shirt because that's what this is all about. And it's like you're not as good. And for me, the reason why I really like started this and created a whole brand around this concept was because I realized like I'm not as good as I need to be to get to where I wanted to go. And that's okay because it gives me time to learn and grow. And so, it's like you start that business in college and you think you're gonna be the next dorm room success, but like you are not entitled to a successful business. And so once you learn that in the beginning, you are going to be bad at business. And there's other dudes that have been in business and other women that have been in business way longer than you that have way more skills and way more capabilities than you. And you just started out. And so for me to think that on my first or second business, I'm on like my fifth business by now, but like on my first or second business as a 19-year-old in an NYU dorm, that things are gonna come easy, it was an eye opener and you get humbled. And it's after failure to keep coming back and keep pivoting and trying new things, you eventually keep moving forward and you actually are progressing because you're picking up skills that you had in those other failures that have come. You've learned from those, you built skills, you've continued to develop, and it's like you keep building up that capability so that the way I look at it, when your name is called, when your number is called, you're a more capable player. And so that's kind of how I process things. And so I try to tell a message to your other entrepreneurs, younger entrepreneurs, that like, hey, like we don't get shortcuts and we don't want shortcuts. We want to put in the time that it takes to develop a skill and develop a craft and actually get better at something, just like how you practice in basketball, you practice in business, and you eventually will just get better by playing and staying up. So it's it's genuinely what I truly believe in.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, not to sound cliche, but failure is so important with, being an entrepreneur, and if you're starting your own business, you have to know how to deal with certain circumstances when they come. And if you're constantly succeeding, and you mentioned an entitlement, which I'm glad you did, because, again, not to sound old, but the generation, coming in now, I feel like, I'm not saying you, because you're obviously doing your own thing, but they're looking for handouts. It feels like, and everyone wants instant gratification, instant success, and that's just not what I'm used to. But you need the failures of life too. You mentioned basketball, right? You have a team who's undefeated, who's just crushing everyone. And then they get to the championship, and all of a sudden they're losing. They have no idea how to face that as a team because they've never been in that situation before, and then they end up losing the championship because they haven't faced
Yep.
adversity or any kind of failure. Yeah, that goes for business as well. You keep succeeding, you become a little spoiled. You're like, everything's great. Great for you if that's the case. But, I'm more envious of the person who is succeeding after failure because they've encountered what it takes to get to where they are with roadblocks in the way. That's super, super important.
Yeah, and Hormozy always says like you are the output of the work, and so like all that time has built you as a character, and so it's really about, and that's the biggest thing for me. Like when I graduated from NYU, it was like it's not about going to all these classes and what you learned in class and the actual school part of it, but it's about the person that you've become on the journey in the last 4 years, and so